Hey, what's going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here to break down the 4-game NBA main slate on Sunday. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome to my channel. Again, I make content for Draftkings, for Prize Picks, and for NBA Top Shot. If you are looking for more in-depth content for DFS, I do offer that on Patreon.com. A few different packages, NBA, USFL, which just started, and esports. So if you're looking for more in-depth content, you can check out my Patreon, linked in the description below. The sponsor of today's video, guys, is Prize Picks. We've been doing very, very well in the Prize Picks video, so make sure to check that out. I believe it's now like 13 of 16 in the last 5 days, but yeah, I'll have a Prize Pick video up after this. But yeah, Prize Picks is a sponsor. If you're a first-time viewer, you can use the code DKDFS for a 100% match up to $100. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Really quick, let's go over my lineup here from tonight. So going into the late 2 games, I thought I had a very, very good chance to take down the tournament I was in. But we just had subpar game from Embiid and then massive blowout in that Denver game. So Jokic got pulled at the end. It was a little bit tilting how many first half minutes DeMarcus Cousins played too. Don't get me started there. 8 first half minutes for DeMarcus Cousins. What are we doing? What are we doing, Mike Malone? But yeah, so let's go over my lineup. I finished in 8th, still a 4x night, but again, I was only 13 points off of first. Just very, very subpar games from Embiid and Jokic. But the reason I thought I had a good chance was I had a 1% McDaniels go for 35. I had both the Dallas guards, who obviously I was very high on. They smashed. And then I had a low on Brandon Clark go for 36. So I was like, I'm going to the late game. I'm already in the cash easily with Embiid and Jokic and then Monte Morris. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be it. I think I'm going to take down, but subpar games from Jokic and Embiid. It's a little bit tilted about that, but still overall, it was a really, really good night. So hope you guys did a good night as well. And let's talk about this 4-game slate. So first game here is Atlanta and Miami. On the Atlanta side, the big news to keep an eye on, or the big news to talk about, is Clint Capela. He is confirmed out, and he's going to be out for at least a week. As far as John Collins goes, he is questionable. So this could obviously change things of how we're going to attack Atlanta if John Collins plays. For example, if John Collins misses, I mean, you're probably going to get Okongwu and Gorgie Jang splitting the center minutes. They could theoretically maybe go a little bit small ball, Danilo Gallinari for a bit, but you would probably get the center minutes split between Okongwu and Jang. Now, if John Collins plays, then I'm worried about the minutes for both Okongwu and Jang, because I think Atlanta would prefer to try to go small a bit with John Collins at the 5. But the question is, how many minutes can John Collins play if he even plays? So that is kind of the big question mark here for Atlanta, is Collins, whether or not he plays, and if he does, how many minutes can he play? But yeah, Trae Young, 9.8K. I know Miami's good defensively, and this is one team I'm definitely scared about targeting players against, but I think we're going to get 38 to 40 minutes from Trae Young here. So I think he's definitely a viable tournament play. Probably someone I wouldn't play in a cash game, but obviously has a ceiling. Now, the secondary options, it kind of depends on Collins. If Collins is out, I'm going to like Bogdanovic, Gallinari, Hunter, Herter a lot more. If Collins is in, I think all those other options are kind of just secondary plays for me. So again, it's really, really big to keep an eye on that. I would say if John Collins misses, it's Bogdanovic that has the highest ceiling. We also saw Gallinari, for what it's worth, play 41 minutes last game in that game against Cleveland. So obviously he can play big minutes. And then John Collins himself, again, if he plays and like isn't limited a ton, I think you can make the argument for him at 5'3". So we'll keep an eye on that news. That's definitely important for the slate in general. But again, if he misses, you can maybe consider min-price Gorgie Jang. He played 5 minutes in that Cleveland game in the second half. Again, Miami is a bigger team with either Bam or Dedmon out there. So if Collins can't play, I would assume you probably get like 15-ish minutes from Gorgie Jang off the bench, which would make him play at the flat min price. All right, on the Miami side, they have a lot of guys listed as questionable. A lot of that was when the regular season finale when a lot of guys sat. So I'm assuming all these guys are good to go here for Miami. So starting with the top, we have Jimmy and Bam. I think both are pretty safe plays, 8-4 and 8K respectively. Good matchup here for both. I expect, mid-30s minutes for Bam Adebayo. He was cleared from the health and safety protocols, and probably, 38 or so from Jimmy Butler. So they're both pretty good options. The only issue with Miami is they're fully healthy. And when Miami is a fully healthy team, they're very balanced. They have a lot of guys that can kind of take over, right? It could be Jimmy. It could be Bam. It could be Hero off the bench. Lowry has good games, right? Max Struss and Duncan Robinson can get hot. Oladipo, if he's even in the rotation, is a guy that, is a relatively high usage player. So Miami's tricky for that reason, but I think Jimmy, Bam, probably the top guys. Hero and Lowry are kind of just there for me. I think Hero has the higher ceiling. He's probably playing 30 to 35 minutes here. But the price point is just kind of feels about right. Lowry at 6K, I think is a little bit safer, maybe not as high of a ceiling, but we should get, mid 30s minutes from Kyle Lowry in the spot. So I think the main four guys are all in play here for Miami, but no standouts. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I absolutely need to play Bam at 8K, or I absolutely need to play Lowry at 6K. They all kind of just look okay. Oladipo, I'm honestly not even sure if he's going to be in the rotation. I will definitely not be playing him at that price point. I would assume Max Struss gets some decent minutes here, 4-2. I think he's a viable value play. You also have PJ Tucker at 3.3, who, again, should be ready for the playoffs. You're not going to get massive minutes from him, but he's probably playing somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 minutes. He'll probably get you 15 fantasy points. At that price point, again, it's okay. I would put him similar play to Maxi Kleber today, right, where Kleber was very popular and got 16 fantasy points for everyone. Well, yeah, Tucker probably not going to win you a tournament, but he can get you 15 to 20. So, and then Dedmon, again, 3.5K. He's questionable. He'll play the backup 5 if he plays and play around 15 minutes. If he misses, maybe you do see some Omer Yurt 7 at the flat min price. So we'll keep an eye on that one. All right, Brooklyn and Boston. So this is a series I am really, really excited to watch. On the Brooklyn side, KD, Kyrie. I know Boston's good defensively, but I still like both the net stars. I lean KD over Kyrie. I think he has a little bit of a higher floor. 3 of the last 4 games, 11, 16, and 11 assists for Kevin Durant. And then Kyrie Irving's obviously playing massive minutes as well. He's been doing a lot of the ball handling. So both the main guys here for Brooklyn, I think, look pretty decent. I lean KD, though, over Kyrie. But if you want to go for the Kyrie revenge game narrative against his former team, I'm totally fine with that. Now, it's going to be interesting to see how Boston defends Brooklyn. Do they play it kind of like Cleveland, where they just basically left Bruce Brown open, and he just had to orchestrate the offense? If that's the case, you can look to Bruce Brown at 6'5". He's also a good defender. He's one of their few good defenders of the team. So I think Bruce Brown's interesting here. If they play the similar defense to how the Cavs played it and just left Bruce Brown open, then I think you can definitely consider him at the price point, because he's going to do a lot of the playmaking role. Now, the center position, we have Drummond, we have Claxton. Drummond's at 6'2". Claxton is at 4'6". Both are decent point per minute guys. Drummond's actually the better point per minute guy of the two, but don't know how they're going to utilize minutes wise. They could also go small too. So both are more tournament plays at their respective price points. Now, Steph Curry, I know he was massive chalk last game and let everyone down. I'm totally fine going back to the wall. You have to have short-term memory here in DFS. So who cares that he got you 4, if you played him, that he got you 4 fantasy points in 34 minutes? That should not affect what your decision making in the next game, right? So you probably get, around 30 minutes from Steph Curry, maybe more. If he knocks down his shots, I think he plays more. So definitely someone we can consider for value. Also intrigued by Goran Dragic. He only played 10 minutes last game. I rolled the dice on him, but was very tilted. He only played that, but I think he plays more here. So I think Dragic's an interesting play. I don't think anyone plays him based on the last game. And yeah, I wouldn't get to Patty Mills or Kessler, Edwards, or Brooklyn. On the Boston side, so we kind of know what the playoff rotation is going to be here, right? It's going to be Tatum, Brown, Horford, Smart, and Tice starting with Derek White coming out of the bench, Pritchard, and Grant Williams. So we know the Boston 8-man rotation. As far as the spend-ups go, Tatum and Brown, Brooklyn plays no defense, so I'm totally fine with either. Maybe the smallest of leans to Tatum, but I think they're very similar plays. Now, Al Horford at 6'6", I think he's playing 35 minutes here. I think he's a little bit underpriced. I think he's a safe play. Probably doesn't have the same ceiling as Brown and Tatum, but he's a guy that can contribute in a lot of different ways. And then Marcus Smart, I also think is very safe. I think we get 35 minutes from Marcus Smart here. 5'5" is too underpriced. One of their better defenders. I like Marcus Smart quite a bit here. I think Derek White's fine off the bench as a pivot, but I think Marcus Smart's the much safer play. Daniel Tice should start, probably play somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30 minutes. I think he's kind of just a neutral play to me. Don't love him, don't hate him. Bench guys, Pritchard will be productive when he's out there, but probably only sees like 15 or so minutes, more of a tournament option. Grant Williams at 3.9 won't be super productive. Probably plays 20-ish minutes. It's doable, but you're not gonna feel good about it. And yeah, that's it for Boston. So let's move on to Chicago, Milwaukee. This game does have some blowout risk. I mean, Chicago has been awful, absolutely awful against good teams. So obviously you do have to factor that in, but the main three for Chicago feel a little bit underpriced with DeRozan, Vooch, and Levine. I think all three of these guys in a competitive game play like 38 to 40 minutes. So DeRozan's been the guy, the most consistent for the big three this year. Vucevic and Levine have had games as well, but the issue is trying to nail down again who is it going to be on a night-to-night basis. So all three of the big three are in play, but again, you do have to factor in the chance that they get blown out because this team has been awful recently. And then like the value plays are all just like I just like group them all together. They all look very similar, like Pat Williams and Io and Kobe and Caruso. It's just like they're all just there. I don't really have any strong takes on these guys. So, like, they're not out of play, but there's just no standouts there from the value for Chicago. On the Milwaukee side, so I love the spot here from Milwaukee. This Bulls team is awful defensively. So, like, the big three and Giannis, Drew, and Middleton all look good. I think Giannis is too underpriced at 11K. The only thing I think you have to worry about here is potential this game blows out. Also, I will mention, Chicago hinted there's a chance that they could start Tristan Thompson at the 4. So keep an eye on that. We actually saw that happen last time they played Milwaukee. They started Thompson alongside Vooch. So if that happens, you can obviously consider Thompson at 3.2K. But yeah, back to Milwaukee again. Giannis looks phenomenal. He's like a 12K player. So 11K is too underpriced for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Middleton and Drew, I think both look solid as well. Both have their ceilings. Neither standouts, but again, I love the matchup here. And the bigs will be kind of split between Portis and Lopez. They're just more secondary options for me. Grayson Allen should play 25 or so minutes off the bench. Again, just kind of looks okay. Wes Matthews should play decent minutes, but I'm not going to play him. So, yeah, that's it for Milwaukee. Let's finish up with the Pelicans and the Suns. So, I know the Suns are a good team, and they're pretty big favorites in this game, but, like, to be honest, the Pelicans guys are too cheap. CJ, Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas are all underpriced in my opinion. So, I'm pretty high on all three of the Pelicans, in CJ, and Ingram, and Jonas Valanciunas. I think my favorite is JV. Now, obviously, we talked about that last game, about potentially if they go small, that, the guy who benefits is Larry Nance. And a couple of you guys took huge advantage of that, so congrats on your takedowns. But this is a spot I'm not worried about JV minutes, right? We don't have to worry about the Suns going small. The Suns don't go small. They have Ayton or they have JaVale McGee out there. So you do not have to worry about that. And if we get like 36 minutes like we did here against the Spurs 2 games ago, I think JV stands out as a great play at this price. So I think he bounces back. He had an awful game last game. Plus, they went small and he lost minutes. But again, short-term memory. I think he looks really good. I think Ingram's probably your safest. Ingram played 43 minutes. Again, shooting guard, small forward eligible as well. I know the Suns are good defensively, but 7-8 for a guy that should play around 40 minutes, that's too underpriced. And I think CJ is a little bit underpriced too. So maybe this is a hot take, but I really, really like the Pelicans on this 4-game slate. Herbert Jones at 4.6. He's kind of just there. Again, 2 games ago was definitely an outlier. I think more often than not, he's getting around 20 or so fancy points, but he'll play a lot of minutes. Again, he's just more out there for his defense. Nance, be careful. I would be very, very careful about Larry Nance. I don't think he's going to play a lot alongside Jonas Valanciunas. And like I said, I think JV matches up better against his Suns' big front court than Larry Nance. So I'm probably not going to chase the Larry Nance game. Alvarado has been in the rotation over Devontae Graham. He played 17 minutes and 22 over the last couple. He's a fine GBP play. He's not going to play huge minutes. Jackson Hayes at 3.9. The minutes have really been ticking down on him. He's been starting, but hasn't been playing a ton, so hard to go there. I'll mention Trey Murphy, 3.5. He's played pretty well over the last few weeks, and he played very well in that elimination game against the Clippers. So, yeah, he's kind of score independent, but I think he's going to be a decent part of this rotation. So, if you want a cheap option, I think you could do worse than Trey Murphy. And finally, the Phoenix Suns. So, we have Paul, we have Booker, 9K and 7.6 respectively. I mean, I think Chris Paul stands out as one of the better plays in the slate. He's probably playing 35 to 40 minutes. He's a guy that can obviously contribute in a lot of different ways. He has that higher floor than Booker because of the assists. So I think Paul looks really, really good. Booker has a little bit of higher ceiling, A little bit of a lower floor, though. He becomes more scoring dependent when Chris Paul's out there. So both the Phoenix guards I like. Again, Paul, it's usually my same analysis. Paul, the safer option. Booker, the higher upside. And then DeAndre Ayton at 7K. I think he plays 30 to 35 minutes. I think he feels a little bit underpriced. So I think he's a solid option. Bridges at 5'2". He's going to play huge minutes. I think he just looks like a neutral play. Cam Payne's a little bit too pricey. Cam Johnson's too pricey. McGee's definitely too pricey. Jay Crowder at 4'2". I think looks decent. I think he's going to play somewhere in the neighborhood of, close to 30 minutes. Probably not going to win you a tournament, but he probably won't kill you either. So I think he stands out as a pretty safe value play on this 4-game slate. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content, just make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell. All that good stuff really helps me out a ton. Appreciate your support as always, and I'll see everyone in the next video.